A thick fog drifted over Washington, D.C., settling around the White House like a silent curtain. There were no press briefings scheduled, no late-night tours, no staff walking hurriedly through the halls. Only one place had a faint, flickering light: the narrow service corridor beneath the West Wing. At 10:47 p.m., 5 people gathered around a long oak table inside a windowless room. Security had locked the door from the outside. No phones worked here, no signals penetrated the concrete walls, and on the wall behind them hung a single portrait: Abraham Lincoln. His painted eyes seemed to watch the group with an unsettling intensity. At the center of the table sat something that didn't belong in any modern intelligence briefing: a dusty wooden box, carved by hand. 2 words etched into its surface: Spirit Board, 1864. Tonight, for the first time in 160 years, the board would be used again. National Security Advisor Daniel Moore swallowed hard. He was a man who handled nuclear crises and foreign threats without flinching. But tonight, his hands trembled. No one had prepared him for this. Daniel finally spoke, his voice low. "Let's begin." The air in the room shifted. The light above them flickered once, then again, and no one knew that this was just the beginning. CIA parapsychology specialist Dr. Helen Reese carefully lifted the lid of the wooden box. Inside were 3 objects. 1, a spirit board worn smooth with age. 2, a planchette. 3, a sealed envelope, edges yellowed with time. On the envelope, in fading ink, "If something happens to me, use this. A. Lincoln." The room froze. "Lincoln wrote this?" whispered the White House archivist. "No official record ever mentioned it," the historian murmured. Dr. Reese placed the planchette atop the board. Just as she released it, the planchette trembled. Nobody touched it. A cold breath of air swept across the table. Helen stepped back, shaking her head. "This is impossible." The planchette slid slowly, deliberately. It pointed to the letter W, then A, then R. W-A-R. Daniel stared at the classified binders on the table. Documents describing a covert American operation scheduled to begin within weeks. Operation parameters unstable. Outcome unpredictable. The board moved again. 4 more letters. S, T, O, P. Helen whispered, "It's warning us." The ceiling light flickered once more, and no one yet understood. The warning was only the first layer. Without warning, the old dictation recorder at the end of the table switched on. It wasn't plugged in. Static crackled. Then, a voice emerged. Weak, grainy, but unmistakable. Abraham Lincoln's voice. Helen's knees nearly gave out. "That's impossible. There were no voice recordings in the 1860s. Yet the voice continued, slow and heavy, as though traveling across an impossible distance. "This door, once opened, will never close again." The historian clamped a shaking hand over his mouth. "It can't be real." But the spirit board moved again, spelling Notdead. The light bulb popped, plunging the room into darkness. Something shifted in the corner. Footsteps, slow, measured. Daniel whispered, "Who's there?" No answer, only a chilling presence. Then the recorder spoke again. "Listen." And a second message, clearer, deeper, began playing. Your century has repeated the mistakes of mine. Warnings lie beneath this building, in the rooms they sealed, to forget me. The historian whispered, horrified. The lost Lincoln letters, the ones no one ever found. The voice answered, as if hearing him, I am still here, and I can warn you only once more. The planchette suddenly launched off the table, clattering onto the concrete floor. An icy wind roared through the room. When the emergency lights flickered on, everyone froze. Lincoln's portrait was tilted. Its frame had shifted, as if someone had touched it. Dr. Reese approached with trembling hands. Behind the portrait, 2 old nails had been removed. A small wooden panel hid a narrow passageway. This passage was not on any White House blueprint. The group climbed inside. The corridor smelled of dust, old wood, and something else. Something metallic, like dried ink or old blood. At the end stood a locked door. On it, carved 1864, the last room. Daniel used the antique key found in the spirit board's box. Inside sat a single desk, and on it, a sealed wooden container with a brass plate. President A. Lincoln, for future crisis only. Daniel opened it. Inside were 1. A letter in Lincoln's handwriting. 2. A small brass key. 3. A message carved into the lid. Before the world is darkness, I will speak one last time. Helen stepped back, trembling. This is real history. A sharp crack echoed. The portrait, still hanging in the room behind them, split down the middle, as if something inside had pushed from within. The dictation recorder turned itself on one final time. If you go further, your names will be forgotten. History will not protect you. Then, a whisper, so close Daniel felt breath on his neck. I cannot stop what comes next. The corridor door slammed shut. The lights died. Total blackness. Someone gasped. Someone prayed. When the emergency teams found the room hours later, the group was gone. Vanished. Everything else was perfectly in place. The portrait, the board, the sealed container. Except one thing. On the spirit board surface, a new word had been burned into the wood. Not carved, not written. Burned. Back. And deep beneath the White House, in a hidden room from 1864, something waited. Because once a door like this opens, it never truly closes. The White House went silent, yet the door never closed. 5 people vanished, and the board burned one final warning: back. But if you continue, another message will find you. Each video opens a new sealed room in American history. Subscribe now, because when the next classified file leaks, you'll be the first to hear it.